What was the best game? What was the greatest expansion? What was the biggest surprise? This video has that and more. Hello and welcome to Nelson All Over. My name is Nelson Oliver, and today we are taking a look at the yearly recap of what happened in the world of board games in 2022. We're going to go through a lot of different best of and biggest surprises and all of that good stuff, and I'm really excited to dive into it, but I also want to hear what you think. So much of this is, well, no, all of this is subjective. These are my opinions. The best board game to me may not be the best board game to everybody else, but it is fun to talk about, so let me know what you think in the comments to all of the things that I'm going through. I'm excited to hear about it. Before we dive into the best of and the biggest surprises and all of that excellent stuff, I want to talk about what I did in gaming this year so you can kind of give a snapshot and an idea. Now, I did a really bad job of tracking my living card game plays, so I do a lot of living card games. I stream them weekly. I do that, and for about 2/3 of the year, I just didn't do it. I was it was a very bad call on my part. That's on me, so I apologize. So the numbers that you're about to hear exclude about 2/3 of the years of my living card game plays, and those are the majority of my plays. With all of that in mind, I use an app called Boardgames Stats, which is awesome. I highly recommend it, but it can break down and give you insights into what you played and how long you played them. So as of the release of this video in 2022, I played 398 games for around 389 hours of gameplay. In total, I played 94 different games, and 49 of those were, quote, new to me games. My most played game was easily Marvel Champions with 155 plays. Again, this is only counting for about 1/3 of my actual plays, for a total of 125 hours in 2022. My most played game that does not include LCGs, because LCGs can kind of take over the stats when you include those, but outside of that, it was actually a new to me game, and that is So Clover. So Clover is a cooperative word association game where at the beginning of the round, you're going to get this clover-like shape where 4 different cards are going to go in to the slots there. Your job is to associate the outside words together with their pair, and then remove the cards and have everybody else try and put them back in order with like some extra cards in there. It is an incredible game. It is so much fun. I love how little downtime there is. A lot of the word association games that I played in the past have a good bit of downtime. So Clover does eliminate that by having all the thinking and the analysis portion being done by all the players at the same time. And when you compare that to like a Codenames, typically you don't get that. Codenames, I find there's a lot of downtime, whereas in So Clover, that didn't seem to be the issue. I played So Clover for 12 times for a total of 13 hours. Now, a game of So Clover does not take an hour. What I do with these types of games is I hit go, and we may play 3 or 4 rounds before I hit stop. It's just, I played 12 sessions. I sat down at the table and played So Clover, pulled it out of the box 12 times. However, 13 hours of a party game is significant, especially since I played it for the first time September 14th of this year. So it's only been in my life for a very short period. The biggest surprise to me this year was a game I picked up at Gen Con called Cat in the Box. So Cat in the Box is designed by Monayuki Yokouchi. I think I got that right. I listened to a couple videos. I'm sorry if I didn't. There's a lot of trick-taking games out there. It feels like it's been the last couple of years have just been, let's put out a trick-taking game. Everyone has a trick-taking game, and Cat in the Box really capitalized on unique trick-taking, which is something that's getting more and more rare these days. The catch in Cat in the Box is that all of your cards are not suited, and it's a Schrodinger's cat theme. So when you play a card, you then declare it as a suit, and you do so by placing a token on a communal board. So if you're playing a 6, you then would take one of your tokens and put it over the green 6, and you say, this is a green 6. Now in the future, if someone wants to play a 6, they look down, they see the token is covering green. They cannot declare this as a green 6 because that card has already been played. If you ever cannot play a card because you've been boxed out of all the colors that you still have numbers in your hands of, then you create a paradox, and that is just really bad. You get a lot of bad victory points, and it's played out over a couple of different rounds. Whoever has the most victory points at the end of the game wins. I was skeptical about this game because I thought that it was going to be a little bit too complex, but really it feels very natural when you're playing. I find the decisions of when you play and when you need to take a trick to be very interesting, because you don't necessarily always want to win every single trick, because there is a bonus if you call how many tricks you are going to win. Also, it may be prudent for you to throw a trick so that you can make sure that you're not going to cause a paradox in a few hands. All of these decisions are very satisfying and very crunchy, and I love Cat in the Box. And it was a nice surprise that I picked up at Gen Con. The best expansion this year I actually also picked up at Gen Con. The best expansion of 2022 is Viticulture World from Stonemaier Games. Viticulture World takes the worker placement game and transitions it to a cooperative experience. So in Viticulture, players are competing together to come up with and run the best vineyard so that they can come out victorious at the end of the game. Viticulture World flips this game on its head and turns it into a cooperative experience where players are working together to try and gain global recognition from different scenarios from around the world. In the box, it is a increasing difficulty scenario experience, so you can play in scenarios that are easier, and it works up into making it a harder and harder experience. This is not an easy expansion. Even the first scenario where it's supposed to be the learn to play game can be very difficult, and we kind of lost it. So it is a very good experience. I love hard cooperative games. Those are some of my favorite types of games, and Viticulture World just took this to the next level. It does feel like you are playing viticulture. However, the implementation into a cooperative setting was done flawlessly. With just a couple of shakeups of the actions, you feel like you get to play viticulture in a completely different way. It's one of the more unique expansions I've ever played in my life, and if you have not tried it yet, I highly recommend, especially if you are a fan of viticulture or cooperative games. This expansion knocked it out of the park. Moving on to my favorite new to me game. This was a game that was published a couple of years ago. It's Aeon's End, designed by Ginny Iglesias, Nick Little, and Kevin Riley. Aeon's End is a cooperative deck building experience that has players taking on super asymmetrical mages, and they're going up against these very unique nemesis. The game is a Dominion style deck building game where there's a set market, and players are using their cards to buy new spells and new relics and new cards for their deck, but that's about where the similarities end. A couple of really cool things about Aeon's End is that you are never shuffling your deck. Whenever you are buying cards or discarding cards, you choose the order in which they get discarded or placed on their discard pile, and when you need to reset your deck, you flip the deck over, and you've kind of built it so that you kind of know what is coming. All the different mages, the asymmetrical powers play very uniquely, and they all have their own strengths. They interact with cards differently, and I love a good asymmetrical game. I ended up buying Aeon's End Outcast, so most of the expansions are standalone expansions, so I don't even have the original game. I bought the Outcast expansion, which is a standalone experience, and it has like a campaign storyline to it where I'm opening envelopes and diving in and getting new cards, and it's not just a dump of information, which I appreciate a lot because it can be a fairly complicated system to play in. So walking through the system by opening new cards and kind of learning the story and reading the flavor text has been and is a very satisfying experience. Aeon's End has a significant amount of content out there, and I'm excited to dive into more. I just traded for a couple more expansions in one of the math trades, so I'm excited to sink my teeth into that here in the near future. And that brings us to the headline of the video, which is what was the best new game of this year, and that is none other than Ark Nova by Capstone Games. This game was designed by Matthias Wiggy, and it's about players building a zoo and supporting conservation efforts around the world. Players are working to build up their own personal zoo by taking different animal enclosures, filling out their unique map, and then buying or playing cards from a river system in the middle into those different enclosures. One of my favorite things about this game is how the score track works. So you have your zoo's reputation, which you start at 0, and you're working your way around the score track where your reputation marker is working the opposite way and starts at the very end of the score track. The game end is triggered when those two markers cross for a single player. At the end of the game, your score is the delta of those two score markers. And so it's very easy to score negative points in this game. It's very easy to lean into one strategy and neglect the other and that not yield a good outcome. You need to balance yourself in building up your zoo's reputation as well as supporting different conservation efforts so that you have a solid plan going in. So when those two markers cross, you are able to capitalize on your victory points. Another really cool part about the game is the action selection system. There are 5 different actions that you can select from on your turn, and those actions have varying levels of effectiveness based on how long it's been since the previous time you've taken that action. Whenever you take an action, you choose one of the 5 cards, you take that out and you slide it over to the first spot of the action slots, which slides everything to the right. All of the actions are based off of what slot they were in when you took the action. So if you're drawing cards, the longer you wait to draw cards, the closer it gets to that 5 slot the better and more cards you're going to be able to draw. Also, you can flip these cards over to get more effective actions, leading to increased productivity, and you can only upgrade 4 of them. There are 5 actions, so you're going to have to make a very difficult choice at some time during the game of which action you are not going to be upgrading. Arc Nova nails it on theme and nails it on mechanics. I absolutely love this game. It has catapulted all the way up to the BGG's top 5 list. I think it's sitting at number 4 as of this video, which is so very impressive. Congratulations to Capstone. I think Capstone is a fantastic publishing company, and I am excited to see what Arc Nova has in the future, as they've already announced an expansion. So I'm looking forward to that, hopefully in 2023. 2022 was a wonderful year for board games. I was able to attend multiple different conventions. I played a lot of games. I met a lot of awesome people, and I started this YouTube channel. It was a phenomenal year. I'm so happy that I got to experience board games in 2022, and I'm really looking forward to what 2023 has to bring. Like I said at the beginning of this video, please leave a comment and let me know what your favorite games, your favorite expansions, your biggest surprises, all of that good stuff. Let me know in the comments, because I love hearing about it. And also, a little bit selfishly, it helps me think and see new games that I may have missed. I live in the world of board games. I see a lot of board games, but there are always a couple that sneak by, and so I want to hear from you what your favorites were, and I'm excited to have a conversation around those. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for watching. It means the world to me that you are sharing in the love of board games with me by watching this video. I appreciate you all. Thank you so very much for a wonderful 2022, and I look forward to posting more videos and talking with you more in 2023. See you around. Peace.